Okay, so our project is called Christine Bunch, a tale of corruption. And I'd just like to thank our entire class. It was a big group effort, but we got it done, so hopefully you will enjoy our work.
In 1995, a devastating house fire broke out at the trailer of Christine Bunch. She attempted to save her son Tony, but was unable to. He died and she was rushed to the hospital. Police bombarded her with questions immediately afterwards, completely disregarding her injuries, and she never underwent the carbon monoxide testing that is typical for a burn victim, causing her mind to be too cloudy for a proper interview. The unwarranted biases of the investigators led to the suspicion that Bunch had set the fire in order to murder her own son. Based on the corrupt evidence brought forth by investigators, the jury found Bunch guilty and she was sentenced concurrently to 60 years for arson and murder. She was distraught but persevered in her hope for justice and to raise her second son, and after years of law research, obtaining multiple degrees, and reaching out for help, she was able to work with Northwestern University Center for Wrongful Convictions and was able to pursue a retrial. Bunch was rejected on her first attempt in 2008 when she refused a guilty plea deal which would see her released within 1 year, as she would never plead guilty to the murder of her own son. In 2012, Bunch was finally able to successfully petition for retrial and was released after several more grueling months in prison. Though Bunch was reunited with her family, she had to pursue a civil case for any restitution as there are no respective laws in the state of Indiana, which when compounded with the 17 lost years of work was a great financial setback. However, Bunch remained hopeful to begin studying for a law degree as she worked to get back on her feet while also supporting efforts of the Northwestern University Center for Wrongful Convictions.
Just because my eyes have been opened and I realize that everything that's put out in media is colored by our cultural norms. And so if somebody doesn't fit into that cookie cutter, we point out the differences instead of celebrating them. And we always look for the dark, especially if it's surrounding some kind of a criminal case. So I recognize that now, and when I hear headlines, instead of thinking, yes, they did something really wrong, they need to be put to death or they need to go to prison forever, now I'm sitting there thinking, do you really have the evidence, or are you making up a story about these people because you don't like them, or they're not the same race, or they don't act the way you think they should act?
The conditions of Bunch's case allowed for the miscarriage of justice that jailed an innocent woman for 17 years. In her small town of Greensburg, Indiana, the prosecution was determined to succeed in convicting Bunch, using fabricated evidence to win the case and confirm their personal bias against her. Prosecutors used flawed eyewitness testimonies to cast doubt on her innocence, as well as inaccurate evidence from arson scientists indicating use of a liquid accelerant in multiple starting points. These assessments conflicted with those of other experts, including a contemporary expert hired by Christine Bunch in the original trial, and were based on analysis which was soon after discredited by forensic advancements. Later reviews of the evidence showed tampering as an effort to strengthen the case against Bunch, with intentional exaggeration of data. Despite the autopsy showing that Tony died of asphyxiation, typical of a slow-burning house fire as opposed to arson, the forensic evidence was enough for the jury to make the guilty conviction. Bunch was able to bring these miscarriages of justice to light in her retrial, where she reviewed the forensics evidence and successfully pursued a claim against the prosecution for previously withheld evidence. Finally, her charges were dropped, but Indiana rewards no certificate of innocence, so her murder charges were still pending, withholding justice in the purest sense. Because of intentional tampering, an innocent woman spent 17 years in jail and was released by a system that would not grant her full justice, even after all she had suffered through to fight for it.
Top 3 life lessons. Family doesn't necessarily mean blood. Respect is definitely something that is earned. It shouldn't just be given. You have to work for that. And probably it's cliche, but you can't judge a book by its cover.
I'm Albert Chow. This is Raven Bernard, assistant and co-director, and we would like to open the floor for questions.
Yes. Did you get to interview Christine when she was here? Is that what those interviews were from?
Yeah, so I actually interviewed her at Professor Hickman's house. And so because of some issues with our original storyboard, I had to rewrite some of the questions. So we did it after the official questioning time. And it was actually really cool to talk with her and like just see her experience and her personality. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you for watching.